Hello, and welcome to the very special Season 1 recap. Guys, we're super excited. Season 1 is a wrap. It's been a blast. I know I speak for not only myself, but also for Erik when I say that it's been amazing. Thank you so much for all the support. Thank you for tuning in, for your comments, your questions. It's just been a lot of fun. Erik, how are you feeling, man?
Humbled. Humbled is really exactly how I'm feeling. I mean, I blinked and this season's over. It's really, I had no idea that it was going to do or make the impact it has. And, you receive back love so much from the community. You just know you're doing the right thing. And that's why I'll keep on keeping on, man.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It really has been a lot of fun. It's funny. What started out for me anyway is kind of like a selfish product or project rather, in the sense that, my vision for this deal was, obviously bring value to the automotive industry, but at the same time, selfishly learn, right? Because we've had such amazing caliber people on here, right. Such great insight. And for me, right, I'm consulting with dealers on a day-to-day basis. It's just been super informative and educational, and people have been super receptive. LinkedIn, man, wow, our LinkedIn connections have really rallied and wrapped themselves around this whole project, and and it's been incredible, man. It really has.
Here's how I know when something's working, okay? Not so much that you get owners and GMs and GSMs, congratulating you on a great podcast, but when you get the bottom rung, hey, look, I'm brand new to the business. I love what you guys are doing. That is really walking into this podcast. That's exactly what I was after, is trying to make sure that we are paying attention to those folks who are first starting out. Either, they're new to the business, they're trying to decide and navigate through the landscape of sales and whatever the hell it is that means. They're just trying to figure themselves out. So, I think that we've done pretty well. I think we'll do better, but I think we've done pretty well with keeping those folks in mind. And we just want it to be utilized, across the board. And I love I love doing the podcast with you, Herb, and I think that the yin and yang approach for every person we've had on the podcast has been great. I think it's been great. What I'm saying to you is I think it's been great.
Right on, man. I agree. The sentiment is mutual. Hey, so here's the deal. We got on the agenda today. We're gonna do a recap of the season, talk about some of the highlights, if you will, of some of the guests. It's just gonna be me and Erik on this deal. So I'm excited to just have a conversation with you, man. But before we get rolling, I just wanted to talk about a couple things. So, number one, please, I encourage you all, send us your questions. We want to make sure that we bring these questions up to the guests. We want to make sure that we bring you practical advice that you can take back with you as soon as you listen to the episode, something you can implement in your day-to-day if you have a struggle, or if you just want to find a different way, right? A different way of doing what you do. Make sure to pass those along. For the time being on LinkedIn, we are working on a website, so we'll have a website soon, and you'll be able to post your questions there. But for the time being, make sure that you reach out to me and Erik on LinkedIn. I'll make sure I put our LinkedIn profiles in the show notes, so check those out. I want to give a shout out to Mark Metry. Dude, thank you so much for your advice, for your help, your willingness to coach and just to give us some tips on production. We're always striving to improve the quality of the finished product that we're doing here with the podcast. So thank you so much. If you haven't checked out Mark's podcast, Humans 2.0, you need to do that today. It's going to blow your mind for sure. Tons of value there. So make sure to tune in on that. I also want to give a shout out to Michael Cirillo, the host of the Dealer Playbook. Make sure to tune in on that deal. Tons of insights, as he says, tons of power bombs. So if you're in the automotive industry and you have not tuned into that podcast, you need to do that now. And then a final shout out to Chris Collins and his amazing podcast, The Service Drive Revolution. I am a service guy at heart, so that's what that's my passion. I love the dialect between him and his co-host, and there's always lots of takeaways on that deal as well. So make sure to tune in and check that out. Let's see. What am I forgetting? I think that's it. So one thing I did wanted to kind of mention here really quick. So here's the deal. The objective of this project has never been to, it's never been about building an audience. It's never been about monetizing this in any way, shape, or form. And the reason I bring that up is because I've had a lot of questions from people regarding the intent. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that the intent for this is simply to bring value, right? To, do our part in bringing value to the automotive industry. I'll never ask anybody for a like. I'll never ask anybody for a subscription. That's not the goal. I love consulting with dealerships. That's my passion. I know that Erik loves what he does at his dealership, but we're just passionate about the industry. And, this is a platform that's available to us in 2018. And why not get some amazing people that are crushing it in the industry and just have them talk about, their experiences and be able to bring insights, to this amazing industry that we're all a part of.
That's so on point, because I think people need to understand that literally the reason, the concept that we brought up this whole idea with the podcast is, number one, because it's a brand new landscape here. I mean, we can gain a lot of traction getting in early, where we have invited guests to come in. And literally the whole idea is to have people that know more than we do get on the podcast to be able to seed the listeners, so they can take whatever information they want from these podcasts and take it back to their dealership, implement it into their life, and profit from it. I mean, that's the gift, right? Now, it's not to say that, years down the road, because we've dealt with such fantastic ideals and people that we probably won't be invited on stage somewhere. But I'm talking years. That's years and years. This whole podcast, though, by and far, is designed to be of service to you. I mean, that's right online, Herb. It's designed to be of service to you, meaning that you just take from it what you want. Please leave comments. We love the comments, and just take the information that you gain and run with it, man. That's the whole purpose and intent. And we've been lucky to have some phenomenal guests on here. I mean, when you talk to the Guinness Book of World Records, the dude, capital T, capital D, the dude come on this deal. I mean, you get humbled because you're expecting this gentleman to show up, this big bravado, arrogant, greater than thou kind of mindset. And you find out this is one of the most humble, practical individuals. It just really, it was a great, hey, listen, for me personally, it was a great, that for me, I took out of that. They would say, hey, look, man, you just need to adjust what the hell it is you think that success looks like. And boy, I was fed so much from that episode. I don't know about you, but boy, that was a big deal.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But so I'm excited. I just wanted to, thanks, Erik, for kind of sharing the sentiment. I just wanted to put that out there. Again, it's about value. That's the goal. You know what I mean? So we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate that you're consuming the information. And, obviously, if there's anything that we can do to improve, reach out, let us know. That's what we're all about, right? Like I said, we want to make sure that we put the best product out there for everybody that's tuning in. Stay tuned for season 2, which will be coming out later on. We got the website coming. We're working on obviously improving the production and making sure that that's as tight as possible. And man, just excited to kind of keep going with this deal for sure, and keep connecting with folks and bringing down.
Let me say this too. I mean, this is if I had a business within the auto industry, maybe even if I was doing it for years, or I'm brand new to the market, I'm trying to get my idea across, I would think, and maybe you agree or you don't agree, Herb, but I would think this would be a perfect platform or podcast to be a part of. The reason it's not about advertising or advertising here, but in a sense, it kind of is. We want to pull all the information that you have from your experience within the auto industry, but it's a great way to promote your business too. I mean, do you agree with that?
I just want to make sure that the distinction is there. Like, we're not, like you'll never hear, we're not talking about advertising in the context of our podcast. Like, you'll never hear any sort of advertisement here. That's not what we're trying to do. But it is a great place or a great platform, I think, for people to come in and speak and promote themselves. And,
exactly.
And reach an audience for sure, and get their message out there. Definitely. Of course. I think that's one of the great things about not just our podcast, but podcasts in general, right? It's just it's another means of people, being able to connect with a lot of folks. And the other thing too is just technology, right? I mean, when you think about it, there's a lot of people within our industry that are incredible, right? And I think that the season 1 for us has definitely been a testament to that. But when you think about it, 5 years ago, it was super hard. 10 years ago, super hard for people to be known and really put themselves out there in this capacity. And now with LinkedIn and social media in general and podcasts, it's just a great way for you to be able to spread value and bring your insights to a lot of folks. So anyway, excited to get this recap rolling. Let's just dive into it, man. You ready?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Season 1. All right. So, I figured let's just talk about, each guest and kind of our highlights and takeaways for each, right? So our first guest was Derek Stringer, right? So, and we had a conversation on how to keep people in the showroom floor. I personally, Derek is a personal friend of mine, and I like the fact that he's doing the job day to day. I think that, obviously that's the premise of this whole project, right? Is to get people that are working at the dealership to come on, either in a vendor capacity or as, actual members of a team, and talk about some of their experiences. And so I really enjoyed having him on the show as our first guest, because I think he kept things really basic to a certain degree. And then the fact that he's actually gone out of his way to create his own solution to a problem, quote unquote, that he sees within the industry. I think that's it's brave. And I think that it's, it's cool, man, to actually develop an app and try to create something that is going to serve a need within the industry. I think that's really cool.
Well, listen, he's always going to be our first, right? But I think with that app that he came up with, that just shows he's an innovator. That's the reason why he is, he's part of the top leadership for the organization. So, I mean, that's not surprising to me. But he's always our number 1. Don't forget that. He's our number 1.
Yeah, he's our number 1 for sure. So, yeah, man. That whole concept of TOs and making sure that salespeople, and again, I always like to bring this back to the people that are taking ups, right? Having somebody on hand at the touch of a button that they can, get get assistance with whatever they need to, before customers, kind of getting ready to leave or anything like that. I don't know. I think that there's some value in that.
Always going to be. I mean, there's so many opportunities, especially in today's market, where you have to pay attention to the little tweaks, right? So, but the TO is obviously that's just one of the small tweaks, but he's brought some great light to it.
But how does that happen now? And this is obviously a question of ignorance, Eric. But you know what I mean? So they always talk about slowing down the deal, right? Get the customer to sit down, kind of make conversation, get as much information. But do you think that that's where things can get tricky, right? Because the customer may start to feel impatient or I mean, what is the process now? Because at some point you're going to have to leave and go to the desk, right? Or if the customer starts to pull back, I mean, there's always that, hey, wait a second, I'm going to go talk to my manager or get my manager.
But you have to understand from my aspect, I've worked at the big dealerships, but the dealership I'm at now is small enough that it's a different process. But I'll tell you this, is that as a manager, I know that we get so inundated from different things by, we have to make sure units are stocked in. We got to make sure that it's going through the service department. All right, what's the detail shop doing? Well, we have a vehicle in parts or not in parts, but in the body shop. And there's so many things that we have to pay attention to. But our number one, our main thing, keeping the main thing is that our job is for sales, especially, is the customer. So having said that, we want to make sure that we are, I make it a point to go out there and meet the customer as fast as humanly possible, because I don't ever want it to be awkward trying for when he's trying to leave, they're trying to leave as a couple, and my salesman's having to go, well, look, let me get my manager. I don't want that to be an awkward situation. I already want to be on a first name basis, or at least somebody that are reminded of when I walk back up to them. Because if we're paying attention to what's going on a lot, either we have cameras or we're standing at the front window paying attention. I mean, that's just the TO. I'm telling you, bro, the TO is a big deal. So, I mean, his app ID where it kind of flashes it in right in front of your face on your phone that, hey, I need help. I mean, that's a huge deal, bro. It's a home run idea.
Yeah, dude, I really like that concept that it alerts then it's stair stepped, right? So,
yes.
If manager one is busy and can't take it, then it goes to manager two and so on. It's kind of round. I don't know if round robin is the right word, but you know what I mean? It just goes in cycles until somebody takes it and does something with that, right? So I like it. I think there's something there, so we'll see how it develops. So, maybe we'll be having a different conversation in a couple of years where this is like a staple within all the stores. All right. So moving on, Noel Walsh, man, what a great conversation. Dude, that was just pure fire.
And it needs to be known that Noel is not just a small St. George dude. This is a nationally known. I mean, this guy's a stud, just a complete stud.
Rock star, yeah, man.
Yeah, and when you deal with that kind of caliber of trainer who talks to all the dealerships everywhere around the country, man, you just try and pull as much information out of that cat as you can. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I was talking to a decision maker recently, and we were having a conversation about trainers and that whole deal. And his whole concept was like, well, I mean, it's great to have these guys in here, the Alan Dickies and the Noel Walshes of the world, because it gets everybody pumped. But dude, as soon as they leave, a week later, everybody reverts back to their old ways. And so his whole concept was, or his argument was, we can't really motivate. Motivation has to come from within. And I believe in that to a certain degree, but it's not just that. I mean, if you take that part out of the equation, think about processes, right? Because, you're in the dealership, you're doing your deal a certain way all the time, right? You have your processes in place, and for better or worse, that's how you operate. And it's very, very hard, in my opinion, just my humble opinion, to step back from that and look at your operation and be like, man, we can improve here, we can improve there. Maybe if we tweak this over here. And it's not to say that your operation isn't tight and you're not running at a great capacity and all those things, but it's easy to get blinded, right? Because you're just doing the same thing over and over. So what I like about a lot of these guys that consult with a lot of dealerships is that they have their finger on the pulse of so many different things, right? And so when they come into these stores, the perspective there is just different than what you're used to. It's different than what your team is used to. And it's easier for them to kind of look around and kind of see holes, right? And that's the difference, in my opinion, from closing the gap, getting from 80 to 100, right? That 20% that's so hard to do is sometimes it just takes somebody to come in and look at things with a different mindset, or you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. I completely agree, because I think Sean Kelly falls in that category too, where look, as somebody at the dealership, especially in a leadership position, I don't want to necessarily have to know everything, meaning that it's a great option to have trainers come in that know what the heck it is they're doing, to train the people up to whatever standards you've communicated with the trainer to be whatever level that is, right? So, I mean, just having somebody that's so calloused in how to get to that next level, I mean, that's a great option to have for any dealership out there. So, I mean, yeah, no, Alan, Sean, those guys are just, it's a privilege to have them out there poking around doing what they do.
Yeah, I love them. And then the other thing about Noel that I really appreciate is, this guy is a content creator, right? So he's super heavy on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I love that. I love when I see people in our industry using these platforms. It just warmed my heart, dude, because there's just not a lot of that happening, man. And it's just, to me, it's a miss. I'm going to go out on a limb here and put something out there that's just my personal belief. But I believe that social media, as we know today, like these sites like Instagram and LinkedIn, Facebook, et cetera, there's an expiration date on not the platforms itself, but how they're being utilized and the impact that they have in our day to day, because technology is going so quick, so fast that, pretty soon the next thing's going to be here. Right. And so I think we have like 2 or 3 years left of these platforms as we know today. And then the next thing, like the Alexas and the voice, which I believe, and it's my personal opinion, that's going to be the future. And we're going to see a lot of that technology develop. But to see people within our industry taking advantage of these platforms is just, I love it, dude, because, like I said, I just don't see a lot of us doing it. And think about the branding power. Think about the opportunity to connect to the masses and just spread value and insights and it's awesome, dude. So I really appreciate that he's super, super engaged, just as well as Sean Kelly is and Alan Dickey as well. So these guys are, are rock stars on the social media side of things as well.
For sure.
All right. So next person was Bill Schomburg. Dude, this is a true story. So I was in San Francisco. I went to a store in Roseville, California. And I started to have a conversation with one of the decision makers there. And he kept telling me, man, you sound familiar. Like I think I've seen you or whatever. And then he's like, oh, dude, you're the guy from that podcast. And I was like, yeah. And so we started talking about that. And then he was like, dude, I love that episode with that guy talking about the horses, the horse trainer, dude. And I was like, dude. So, and every time we just had David Cole, we did a session with him as our extra episode. And what did he say? He's like, dude, the guy with the horse trainer, like, it's amazing because, that's gone down as that episode that people remember by that experience. But man, it's such a powerful story, right?
Yeah. So look, Bill represents what humble is to me, meaning that, look, I'm just a kid from Montana, and I can appreciate somebody that is an old horse trainer. I mean, I get that dude. You know what I mean? He's not afraid of work, but more than that, this dude is so grounded in humble practicality that it's just staggering the amount of knowledge you can gain from this guy by just, number one, being quiet and just listening to what he has to say, because I mean he's a lover of people, and it was a complete. I think it's quite funny that some of these people we have to kind of prod to come on the podcast. They're thinking they're not able to bring any kind of value to the platform, and I just think it's funny that again and again and again, and this is just another story where, yeah, they bring some definite value, and not only that, but they were remembered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This dude was remembered by other people. I mean, having Bill on here was, well, just a gift, bro. Just an absolute gift. That's his no nonsense approach to how to treat people and how to get along with people, and his approach to people. I'm blown away. Yeah, I can't wait to meet him face to face.
Yeah, dude, we're getting ready to meet him and Sean Kelly and some other folks tomorrow. So it's just for the purpose of the listeners. Today is October 13th. The October 14th is the start, I think, of the Rockstar Auto Conference, and we're getting ready to head out there and meet some of these folks that we've connected with on LinkedIn. So we're super excited about that. But yeah, man, I agree, dude. He was such a good guest to have on, and like I said, it's funny how that's what really grabbed the audience, right? It was his experience in that totally different industry, and how relatable that's been for his journey, if you will, into the automotive industry. So,
yeah, dude. I mean, this guy, it's like talking to your best friend. You know what I mean? I don't know, dude. I just love him. That's all I got to say about Bill.
I agree, dude. And then we had Sean Kelly, right? The CarBiz coach. Dude, great. You know what I loved about that episode? And it's one of those things that kind of stuck with me. And every time it comes to my mind, it's just super prevalent. The story, man. You hear that story often of, and just for the lack of better term, not trying to be offensive in any way, but a lot of people just kind of fall into the automotive industry. You know what I mean? It's not, yes. You know what I mean? It's just, they just fall into it. But you know what's awesome about that whole deal is that they fall in love with it too. You know what I mean? And at yes. the risk of sounding corny here, but it's like there's the stigma within the industry for whatever reason, but once you're in it and you're doing it, it's like you get hooked for the most part. You know what I mean? So
yeah, if you pay attention to I watch a lot of his videos, like his Monday mindsets and whatnot. He throughout the week he'll post little videos. Is that what I know is this? Listen, from your videos, you get put it on enough. If you get put on video enough times, you get found out. And this dude is just a lover of not only what he does, but he's a lover of the people that he works with, right? I mean, that's the overall message that keeps coming through that I feel over and over. I think it's such a privilege as a dealership to be able to work with this cat, because he's coming in there, I mean, giving it his all. I mean, that's really the takeaway I have from Sean. I got to tell you, it was a privilege having this guy on the podcast, Herb. I mean, that was a home run.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I just want to, this is kind of like a plug for Sean, but I feel the need to do this. If you're in the automotive industry, and I don't care what capacity, I don't care if you're the lot porter or if you're the principal, you need to hook up with this guy on LinkedIn. Like, the content that he puts out there is super, super valuable. So if you're not, if you don't want to use his consulting or whatever, that's up to you. But definitely hook up with him on LinkedIn, and you're going to get, just by having him as a connection, you're going to get value and practical information and just thought-provoking content, which I think is much, much needed within the industry. So reach out to this guy on LinkedIn, make him a connection, and start, just get ready for a ride, because there's a lot of value there for sure. Then we had, this guest, man, Jeff Larson. Wow. Dude, that's probably one of my favorite episodes. This guy I'm just blown away by him every single day, just looking at the stuff that he puts on LinkedIn, his creativity. This guy is a giver, man. He really is on fire to inspire, dude. Like, he is the definition of that. And and I loved, again, because, like I said earlier, when I see somebody within our industry engaging with social media and getting the kind of results that he gets, it's just a true testament to the power of the platforms and what you can really do if you have the right approach and you have the right, I don't want to say strategy, because that sounds a little, when you say strategy, in my mind, it sounds like he's kind of plotting for something other than what he's doing.
Jeff is what stands out. The reason why I believe, this is just a one-sided opinion, the reason why Jeff has gained so much traction and impact in such a small amount of time is because I catch this. Okay, he puts himself out there as vulnerable, and there's no weakness in that, man. Actually, it's complete opposite of that. When you make yourself vulnerable to the masses and you're able to talk about that as freely as he does and unapologetic as he does, it just actually, people lean in for that. That's why he's as great at what he does. I mean, it's very clear. He's all about the customer, and he's no better than you and I. And when you have a gentleman like that in charge of your desk, obviously that dealership is going to be successful, right? I mean, he's there to inspire for sure, but that's just because that's how he naturally is. That comes through so well through his online presence. I think he's a home run.
Yeah. And for all the listeners out there, especially, and I'm going to direct this specifically to the sales professionals, right? Because, listen, here's the deal. Social media works. Social media is a place where you need to have a presence. It's a branding platform for you, but at the same time, it's an opportunity for you to build credibility for yourself, to talk about your experiences and your expertise, but it's also an opportunity for you to connect with other professionals within your industry that are doing it right. And it's an opportunity for you to model. And I think that modeling is overlooked, right? And that's the concept of modeling, is just find people that are crushing it and adopt their mindsets, adopt their beliefs, adopt their strategies, and you're going to get similar results. So
let me say this too, because I think it's important. Not only is it important to get on video and brand yourself and all those things. Yes, I believe in that. But much like even this gentleman that's on the podcast with me, Herb, is that what makes Herb so powerful on his videos, when he does videos, is being authentic to whom you really are. If you fake it, look, man, we all see it. Okay, and that just pushes us away. You will never watch your video again. But if you're authentic, if you have a genuine message, if you are truly you present on camera, then you get all the glory, man. You get all the kudos for that. So I mean, and that's what Jeff has done. That's you can tell this dude is the real deal.
Yeah. So yeah, he's definitely an example, and I hope a lot of our listeners follow his lead on this and really take to these platforms because, like I said, man, the window's short and it's free, guys. I mean, it's an opportunity for you to get out there and share with everybody and connect with people. So highly encourage that. So next guest, my buddy Ali Rita, dude. Not only was it amazing to have him on the show, but it's amazing to just reconnect with him. Like I worked with this dude years ago, and so to see him on the front page of the automotive news cover and see the success that he had and what he was able to accomplish was truly special for me. You know what I mean? Because I saw him in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? And to kind of see where he's at now, it's definitely been a journey for him. But as you can tell by the episode, for the ones who tuned in, dude, I mean, this guy is super humble. I said it in the episode, and I meant every word. But I just don't think that there's a better person that could have happened to. You know, this guy really deserves that, man. He's just amazing, dude.
Well, and again, I'll state it again. I learned the most from this individual is that I don't think there's any mystery as to why he's successful as he is, because he is so humble. I mean, there's something to be learned there for everybody out there that are so in love with themselves that look, take a time out. It's okay to be, be humble about the approach to selling vehicles, and his ideals with, doing all the financing in front of the customer, meaning that keeping everybody at the same desk at the same time, so that you're not going from office to person to person to office to office. That's the future, folks. That's the future. That's just the reality of where this industry is going. So. It obviously works.
No doubt about that.
So might be a little wake-up call. So you might want to embrace that concept before you miss the opportunity and your dealership group is bought out.
Yeah, dude, super good conversation with him for sure. Lots of insight, lots of value. I liked what he talked about as far as marketing. I liked what he talked about as far as process, dude. That was the biggest takeaway for me on that episode is, you got to adjust your process. You can't once you get to 30 cars, you got to look at your process and see what you need to change to get to 50. And then when you get there, you need to change. And if you're not aware of that, you're just going to keep doing what you've always done. Right. So, to me, that was a huge takeaway, and I hope a lot of the listeners picked up on that because there's a lot of value in that for sure. Then Joseph Rosales was on with us. I really liked my conversation with him. So I'm a big fan of this guy. He's been in the industry for a really long time. He's been consulting with dealers. He talks to dealers all over the country. He's got some really amazing books. Definitely make sure to check those out if you get an opportunity for some additional insights from him. But I like where he's at with this concept of change and this theory of the tsunami of not theory, but it's factual, right? There's not only is there a lot of change within the industry, but when you look at the industry, and it's not, I love this industry. So when I say this, I'm not trying to downgrade or downplay this amazing industry, but our industry, the automotive industry, is the slowest moving, or one of the slowest movings when it comes to adoption and as far as technology. And when you think about how fast technology is going in today's world, and you compare that to how slow it is for us to adapt to technology changes, it's kind of concerning, man. But at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity there, right? Because if you're the one that is tuned into those things and paying attention, then that's a great way for you to differentiate yourself. And here's a perfect example. And I bet you 99% of dealers are not even looking at this right now. But voice technology like Alexa's, the Alexa's technologies that exist today, that is going to be huge in advertisement, in my opinion. So if you're not learning about that now, today, if you're not looking into those platforms today, it's going to be harder for you to catch up later on. And if you are looking at them today and you're investing your time in acquiring knowledge, that's going to allow you to differentiate yourself, and it's going to allow you to kind of corner your market a little bit. Because when you think about it, I mean, the pie is the pie, folks. I mean, all you can do is take market share away from your competitors. For those stores that adapt to those technology changes the quickest and first, they're going to be able to kind of take more market share for themselves. So
absolutely. I mean, AI as a whole. I was reading an article last night about how fast AI, when it gets any kind of traction, how fast it's going to take over all markets. So for these dealerships that are sitting out there with, their process is sitting in a 3-ring binder, and that's what they're like bylaws, and this is the way we've always done it. You guys will lose. You kind of have to have a blank page in the back of your 3-ring binder where it allows you to evolve in what's coming, because certainly we don't have all the answers to know what that looks like, but we've got to just be open-minded for the change that's coming, because as we all know, it's coming. So yeah. I mean, that's a great takeaway, Herb. That's a great thing to say.
Yeah. So, super valuable there. If you haven't checked out that episode, definitely do it. And if you did, listen to it again, man, because I think that there's some stuff there that you might pick up on a second listen that might make you think a little bit. But this whole concept of change, I think that it's very, very real for sure.
Embrace it. Yes, yeah. That's what I got out of it. Just embrace it.
So this was my favorite episode in the sense of humor. Like, this guest was super funny. I was laughing the entire episode. When I re-listened to it during editing, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to put this out there, because I'm just laughing the entire time. And that was Kim, right? Kim McPherson, dude. Super
I
love
awesome. This chick, man. I don't think chick is an offensive word, but man, she's the best. You can just tell that this is somebody that you can hang out with. She's totally comfortable within an auto dealership, right? She is a doer, man. What a stud.
Yeah. Like you said, it's like the person that you want to have a beer with and just talk shop. You know what I mean? But it was super, super funny. In financing, because a lot of that episode was revolved around financing. That's probably the subject within the dealership that I know the least about. And I had a lot of good takeaways from that, man. Like, that was a good conversation. It was a good, there was a lot of insights there. So I really appreciated her perspective and her ideas. And, I like the people.
Her niche is the spy-fi market, the forgotten mass. I mean, her approach to that is hey, look, wake up. These folks are buyers. They're going to own a car at some point, and please don't forget about it, because they'll make up the majority probably of your profits. So her approach is great. I totally agree.
Yeah, yes, it was awesome. I love to have her back on the show for sure. All right, then Renee Johnson, right? So we kind of broke protocol a little bit here, obviously, because this is for the premise here is by the dealer, for the dealer sort of a deal. But you know what? I mean, I like the different perspective. And, dude, I mean, all the stuff that she talked about as far as leadership, I think she's dead on. Like, I really enjoyed that episode. I've actually re-listened to it a couple of times because there was a lot of takeaways there. That whole concept of, leadership being a decision, dude, that to me, that's like value bomb right there for sure.
For sure. Well, listen, some of the greatest leaders we have in our life that we're connected with, they've gone through tremendous struggle. You know what I mean? And Renee, with her backstory, to pop out on the other side where she's just giving back to the community by power, dude, by just complete power. And there's no doubt why she's such a winner. There's no doubt why she's making such an impact the way she is. I mean, If you're not familiar with her backstory, I mean, I would encourage you to listen to that podcast because, boy, the information she gives, you're right. There's too much takeaway to get from just one session. You have to listen to it over and over and over, and that's exactly how I think you need to approach that podcast with her because, wow, she gave a lot, right? She gave a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree, dude. That was I liked it, and she's another guest that I would love to have her back on because that's such a I was about to say robust. that's such a it's such a big concept, right? There's a lot to talk about. So yeah. I'd love to have her back on and keep evolving those theories and thoughts. Keith Tyson, right? So Keith Tyson, I worked with him when I was in Cox Automotive. Love this dude. This guy was like at the top of the President's Award and number one salesperson in the country for the company. And I just he worked in the dealership. I love the people that have been in the automotive industry and have kind of crossed the desk. I think that those guys bring a lot of insight, a lot of value. So we had him on the show. We have David Cole for the extra episode that's going to be coming out before season 2. So I just love what these guys bring to the table. I love their perspective.
Yeah, I guess it's important to always try and give. These are the perfect individuals to give beginning sales staff perspective. So I mean that's why there's such value to these guys.
Yeah. And then our season closer, Mr. Alan Dickey, the ace man. Dude, sorry you weren't able to be on that episode, man. But
look, man, I got to go on vacation too, okay? It ain't all about the work, yo.
But, dude, lots of good insights there. It's just it was a great conversation. Like I said, I kind of put him on the spot and had him agree to come back on. So we'll definitely push for that in the near future.
Hold on, let me say something about Alan because that session was powerful. You guys really need to pay attention to because typically sometimes when we have a guest on this platform, they don't know exactly what's going on, or they don't have a formulated opinion about it. They don't have a quick answer. This guy was on the spot, knowing exactly what he was going to say, how he thought about something right now. This guy was on it. You can tell he's a stud.
Yeah, I mean that's what when you know your stuff, right? When you have the skill,
my gosh, exactly.
I mean there's no disputing that. So, I loved his insights. Lots of good things there. So that's it, man. That's season 1. That's a wrap, pretty much. It's been amazing. Again, I've just, I've loved the journey. It's been a lot of fun. I'm excited to keep going. I'm excited to kind of improve on the quality of the product, bring the website to folks so that we can get your questions, get you a place where you can, give us some feedback and get your questions to us. But I don't know, man. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to put it amongst the community. And listen, if you think that we need to be talking to somebody that can bring value to this platform, please, that's 3 pleases. Please let them know, or please let us know who they are, and we'll do the reaching out part. We just need to be brought aware of who those names are. We don't have to know why necessarily. We'll figure that out, but just bring the individuals in the comment section. We'll reach out to them.
Yep. So there it is, folks. Thanks again. Appreciate the support. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And as usual, we'll talk later.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.